Welcome back to the DII Nation Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your co-host, Wayne Cavati, and joining me, as always, is a very happy Bethany Bowman. Do you want to tell our guests why you're so happy this week, Bethany?
Yeah, well, of course, we have some special guests from Emporia State and the Hornets joining us. And I never promised no MIAA bias on this podcast, and I definitely didn't promise no Emporia State bias on this podcast. So I'm really excited to have them here today. Of course, worked for Coach Higgins all during undergrad and know Braden very well. So just really excited to have a couple familiar faces.
Yeah. So welcome to the nation, both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. We're happy to be on.
So if you've ever seen an episode of the show, we always start in the same spot, and that's conveniently the beginning. So Braden, we'll start with you. You had a nice high school career, but you were all the way over in Oklahoma. How did you wind up not only in Kansas, but D2 and Emporia State specifically?
I really wasn't too heavily recruited coming out of high school. I had the Oklahoma D2 schools, like East Central University in Ada, and then I had a JUCO in NEO, Northeastern Oklahoma. But I think Coach Higgins, Oklahoma relations, I think he just kind of found me, and everything just worked out ever since.
Yeah, it seems to be working out really well.
Yeah. Before we get to you, Coach, and your background, Braden mentioned he was a little bit under-recruited, didn't have a whole lot of offers, but that's always been something that you've been doing a good job there at Emporia State, is kind of finding some quarterbacks that end up being pretty good for you. What did you see in Braden and his high school career?
Well, it is kind of a funny story, but you are right about that, Bethany. The last, and Braden is the fourth one, the last four starting quarterbacks that I have had here at Emporia State, all of them were under recruited, and nobody. I mean, they were recruited, but just they didn't have very many offers. The funny story about Braden is this: I watched Braden play, and we liked his film, and he wasn't on the top of our board by any means. And the reason why is because he's a left-hander. All right, he's a lefty, and I usually recruit right-handed quarterbacks, for the simple fact that it makes it easy as far as like when you're dealing with their footwork and things like that. Lefties, everything's opposite. So I've never been a big lefty, recruiter guy that recruits left-handed quarterbacks. But Braden, we kind of got in a little bit of a bind, and I had got an email from a booster, a former player here. It's a big supporter of ours. That talked about Braden, and I recognized the name. And of course, he's from Northeastern Oklahoma, in that area, and that's where I first got my start, was Northeastern Oklahoma State. And matter of fact, his mother is in the Hall of Fame there. She was a great basketball player there. So there was a little bit of a connection in that, like he said, I'm from Oklahoma, he's from Oklahoma, so a little bit of connection there, and we brought him up on the visit, and we liked him. I did not. I thought he was a very good high school football player. Did I think at that time that he was going to have? Well, I don't even know what his stats are right now, but just statistically be where he's at. I didn't think that. And but man, he's having a great year, and he's doing some great things, and he also knows he still has a long way to go to continue to get better.
Braden, we're kind of talking about being under recruited, and this, did that kind of, and as Coach said, your numbers right now are ridiculous. He is sixth in the nation in passing, just if you wanted to know, Coach. Did you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder to perform the way that, was that added motivation to you to show, especially in the conference that you're in, to kind of show that you belong?
I think I think I've just kind of always had a little chip on my shoulder about that. Just, I was from a small town, small school, we weren't really too good at football years past. So you kind of just feel like I've kind of always had that chip, but, definitely coming up here, I feel like you got to bring that chip with you, and I've had to, and stay the same and just keep working,
And Coach, we didn't quite get into your background completely. Like Braden, you're from Oklahoma, and you were also an Emporia State quarterback yourself. So you guys have a lot in common. Just talk a little bit more about your pathway into coaching and to Emporia State.
Right. Well, Braden, I was a quarterback here. There's my jersey, if you guys can see it back there in the
Nice.
back.
Very nice.
Hey, there's no grass stains on it. Okay. So I didn't play that much. Braden was a lot better than me. I just love the game of football because I grew up a coach's son, as did Braden. So I always wanted to be a football coach. I knew from when I was 6 years old, that's what I wanted to do. I followed my dad around the practice field. I built forts with dummies, those dummies that you have, and played out and rode on the bus with him to games. I always tell the story that on the sidelines, I would wear a helmet and shoulder pads, and I'd be like 7 years old. And he would walk, and if he stopped, I'd run into the back of him. Well, now, since I'm the head coach here, I find myself walking up down the sidelines, and when I stop, he's behind me now, and he runs in the back of me. But grew up a coach's son, always wanted to be a coach. Found out about Emporia State going to a Kansas City Chiefs game on our senior trip after our high school football season, and sent my VCR tape that tells you how old I am into the coaches, and I tricked them. I put a great highlight video together and ended up here and was here for 4 years and played for a very tough-minded coach that I think really has helped me throughout my coaching career, just by the guy that coached me. So that's kind of a long story short, I guess you might say.
Yeah. Coach, let's stay with you and talk about where we are today and the team that you have on hand. And, last year that, Braden was there and there was a lot of familiar faces. You were 6-6. But now this year, you flash forward, not only are you just one win away from matching that, this 3-game winning streak that you're on, included pretty much 2 must-win ball games in beating Washburn and Nebraska Kearney. What has been the difference so far this year, about halfway through the season, that you've seen with this team?
That's a great question. I think for us, it is our maturity. I was going into, I'm going to go back a little bit last year. I didn't know what type of team we were going to have, and I thought we exceeded expectations a little bit because we had struggled in 19. We didn't play in 20. I think, and I'm talking offensively, I thought we played really well last year because we had, we didn't return very many starters. And then going into this year, I thought, all right, we're going to be really, really good offensively. And we struggled early on. And I don't know really kind of what the problem was. I think maybe just having so many veterans, maybe we pressed a little bit. I don't know. I do know that with our veterans that we have just slowly began to get better each and every week. And our guys have kept the right type of mindset. They're disappointed when those 2 losses that we had, because they were devastating, both, especially for me and Braden. We're both from Oklahoma, and we go down to UCO and get beat on the road. I know he had a lot of family there. I have family there too as well. And then we lost a 1-point loss to Pittsburgh State. And if you don't have the type of leadership, I think you could kind of fold your tent a little bit. And then I was worried about us going to play Washburn, our rival, right after that loss at Pitt, because, it took a lot out of us, and we just responded. And I think from that game on, of course, that's gotten us on this 3-game winning streak. We just have been playing at a very high level. And I think it really starts with our guys up front. Our offensive line they're playing so well right now, and that makes us better offensively. And I know Braden can attest to that because the last few games, he has not been touched, and it makes things easy for us in the passing game, and especially with our tempo. So I just credit our kids and our coaches, assistant coaches that I got, just kind of maintaining kind of our balance and just didn't get too down in the dumps. We just kept, and this is what we're kind of saying, we just kind of kept our head down and just kept working and didn't look up, and here we are.
Braden, we'll move over to you for a second and talk a little bit about the Washburn game. Big win. Emporia State is actually involved in 2 of the oldest rivalries in Division II football. One is Pitt State, and you guys lost that one, like Coach said, 14-13, a 1-point loss and a heartbreaker. But the other is the Turnpike Tussle, which you won. And that's always a big game for the Hornets and the Bods that you want to get a win in. What is it like for a player to be involved in two intense rivalries, especially this year with the Gorillas looking like one of the best teams in Division II?
Those are just two big games, and I think as like a competitor, you look forward to big games like that. I mean, you want to play the Pitt States, the Washburns. You want to play big games and play tough, good football teams. And I think the way we came out and just executed offensively, that gives you a lot of confidence, especially as a quarterback and just as a team, just to really execute and do everything right and just get something going.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think, Braden, for you, I think Coach talked a little bit about it, but just to hear it from you, last year you did have that big breakout. You led the MIAA in passing. As I mentioned earlier, right now you're sixth in the nation in passing. But what really stands out to me about you is that not that you've just thrown 17 touchdowns, but you have one interception, right? Like that's
knock on wood, knock on wood.
Right. But that's insane. That's insane. What do you think is working so well in this offense that you're being able to execute at this like really high level?
I like Coach Higgins said, it starts up front, with those guys giving me all day to throw back there. And then, it's the guys getting open. Our receivers do a great job. I feel like we're always on the same page for most of the time. They do a good job of getting open and finding the grass to run to. And I just try to get them the ball and let them make a play.
At some point you just have to, on your end too, you just have to be feeling it too, right? Like there has to be a not cockiness, but there has to be a confidence level that you're in control of the game and you can kind of execute at will, right?
Right. I think once we get our tempo going and get some first downs, I feel like I get in a groove when I'm out there, and I really just I feel like we start going fast, but it kind of slows down for me a little bit, just seeing things. And I think that's just came with, playing games, just getting experience. And I think that's helped me a lot this year.
And Coach, how about the MIAA? Is it crazier than ever this year or what? And what will it take to stay the course, make the playoffs for the Hornets?
Yeah, it is crazy, but I've been doing this for, I think this is my 16th year here at Emporia State. So like I am, I don't want to say I'm used to it because I'm not, because every Saturday it's the same feeling that I've gotten since day one. My first Saturday game here as the head football coach. It's just a very competitive league. The coaches are really good. And for us to kind of stay the course, kind of where we're at right now is really for us to just think about, we can't we're on a 3-game winning streak. And it's been a while since we've been 5-2, gotten off to this type of start. I just don't want our guys to listen to people telling us we're doing a good job, patting us on the back. We kind of stole a saying from a former college football coach. He talked to his team about earmuffs and blinders. And that's kind of our mantra right now is earmuffs and blinders. Let's not listen to. It's nice to get for people telling us that we're doing a good job, but we still got a lot more to accomplish. And if we want to get to where we want to get to, we can't afford to look ahead. We can't afford to, not be ready because any given Saturday in this league, you can get beat. So our mindset has to be the same as it was, when we prepared for every game this year. And I think our kids have been doing a really good job of that, where it's not slipping, we knew going on the road last week against Kearney was going to be a very difficult test for us. And we played really well, and we were prepared offensively and defensively, and guys invested their time. They watched film on their own. They got to do the same thing this week. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. So that's kind of what, you talk about us getting to where we want to be. Number one, we don't like to talk about it, but we need to just stay the course and just keep our head down and just keep working. We'll look up when the season's over and see where we're at.
Yeah. And kind of along the lines of the MIAA, Bethany and I ask this of every coach in your part of the country, but Super Region 3, it's a nightmare for coaches. It's fun for us to watch, but I know how stressful it is for you. One of the things we talked about with Coach Doral is the fact that the MIAA is such a big conference. You don't get to play outside of your conference. So you kind of go into if you make it out, you kind of go into those Ferris State, Grand Valley State games without the experience of knowing anything about GLIAC football until you get to that moment. Just talk about if is that an advantage, is that a disadvantage, and how tough it is just to play in that region.
Yeah, well, the region is off the charts, like you said, and I think all of us coaches, number one, and I get it, it's Division II football, and you look at money and things like, and as far as playoff goes and where you're, but like the FCS, they when you make the playoffs, there may be 5 teams from a conference, make the playoffs, and it would be nice if we had it that way, but it's not. And I've dealt with it ever since I've been here, so I know what it's about. But I think the biggest challenge we have as a conference is when you get into the playoffs, you may not have that familiarity with Ferris State and some of those other teams, but every game that we play every Saturday is like 4 quarters of your starters being basically out there. So like the last time we were truly in the playoffs was 16, and I remember us going in there, we were banged up, so like that's one of the things I look at where in our conference that is so physically tough, and it is, like I said, every Saturday you can get banged up to where I think some conferences they're all very, everybody has tough schedules and plays tough teams, but there are teams I think that are top heavy in some other leagues where, for the most part, every Saturday in our league now, that's like I said earlier, you have to be ready. So, I think that's just, we have to deal with it. It's the hand we're dealt. And if you go the part of playing non-conference games, I mean, yeah, that's good too. But then what's your draw in the league? Okay, then who you playing in the league? Are you playing all the top heavy teams? There's so many different avenues, So I don't know. They did it one year here where in the MIAA we split. In 2012, we played in the Kansas Bowl. We finished 10-2. We were 9-2. We didn't go to the playoffs. All right. And we played a non-conference schedule, and we didn't play everybody in the MIAA. So it didn't work out for us. So I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. Like I said, the toughest thing to me, I think, is just being just going into the playoffs kind of limping in, honestly.
Braden, a quick question for you. You have so many receivers to throw to, and, every week it seems like it's a different guy leading, but, 2 big ones have been Corey Thomas and Tyler Common, and Cole Schumacher's in there, but Corey and Tyler just both had a 100-yard receiving game in the same game the other day. How good are they, and how much fun are they to throw to?
They're very good, and I think that comes from them, just how hard they work, those are my guys. They make me better. They're always pushing me, hey, let's get some routes in, or hey, can I get this again? So, I think the hard work's just kind of paying off for them, it's definitely a comfortable feeling throwing the ball to those guys, especially if it's up in the air. So just let them go make plays.
For sure. Yeah, it's a fun offense to watch, definitely. Question for both of you guys, as a player and a coach, just what makes Division II so special, and why do you enjoy being a student athlete and a coach at Emporia State?
Oh man, that is a good question, Bethany. I enjoy this, and I know you can get this at the higher level, of course, but the pressure's the same. I believe that. I know I'm not on a 5-year deal getting $4 million a year. Okay. But I feel the pressure just because that's coaching, but I think there's something to be said about being at a place where it's taken me a while to get this figured out. And I still don't know if I have yet, but just the relationships that you have, with your players, and I've been here for 16 years, like I said, and man, I got some great relationships and have been through a lot with trying to get this program, back to where it needs to be. So I think that's the biggest key to me is I enjoy coming to work each and every day. I work with a great group of assistant coaches. It's nice being at your alma mater as well. I'm in a location where my family, like my parents, are close by. My in-laws live here in town. So, I think there's something to be said about it. The NLI and the transfer portal, I think we've had 3 players in the last 3 years in the transfer portal. So we're not dealing with those sort of things. The NIL has changed college athletics. It hasn't dropped down to our level to where it affects us, and where kids are leaving places because of the money and things like that. And that's what I enjoy about coaching at Division II. I really do. So now it is on Saturdays. I'm like, man, I'm still coaching the MIAA. This is a grind. But I love it. I love what I'm doing. I tell people this all the time. I'm going to keep doing this until I don't feel the way, until there comes a Saturday where I don't feel the same way. The nervousness, the anxiety, and what am I going to call on 3rd and 1? What am I going to call on 3rd and 7 in the red zone? What I talk about all week, all those things, So I still have those feelings, and when I don't, then I'll walk away from it. But right now, I love it.
And Braden, how about for you?
For me, it's really just been the relationships I've built since I've been here, just the brotherhood and the family atmosphere that Emporia has brought to me. Because, I'm kind of 4.5 hours away from home. And so it's kind of a drive, but, up here, I feel like I'm always up here with my guys. And, I really just love that part about the team and just being up here. I think, when you're out there on Saturdays and playing for the guy next to you and, they're playing for you too, I think that's just a great feeling. And, it's just when you get wins, it's, it's the best feeling because it's with your brothers and, you've put the work in together and done all these things together to earn that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was the first part of the show. Now we got to close it out with a little bit of fun. We're going to put you on the D2 Nation hot seat and just ask you some rapid fire quick questions to close out the show. As always, Bethany is the one that kicks things off, so go ahead and get them started.
Yeah, we'll start off easy, guys. Who's your favorite football player and team? Coach Higgins, you first.
Oh my gosh, my favorite football player and team. I'm really old. There's probably a lot of it. Man, I'm gonna go Tom Brady, and I'm gonna say OU basketball. Oh, but you want football, right?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm a big OU basketball fan. I don't know. I know that's crazy, but that's the truth. I love college football in general. I like to watch teams that run similar offenses.
Nice.
But I'm kind of a big OU fan, a little bit. Oklahoma.
Peyton Manning used to be my favorite quarterback, but now being up here, hanging out with all these Chiefs fans, I've kind of, went over to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Nice.
Love that. Love that answer.
Yeah, of course you do. You're a Chiefs fan. Braden, start with you, and then Coach. What is the best football movie of all time?
Oh, that's tough.
Man.
Either Remember the Titans or Any Given Sunday.
2 good ones. Coach?
Man, I'm going to go with Remember the Titans. All the right moves, and not bad, though.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Tom
Nice.
Cruise, huh?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Remember him? Ampride or Ampipe, wherever he is from. Ampipe High School, I think.
Nice.
All right, two-part question here. A little different for each of you, though. So, Braden, we'll start off with you first. What is in your headphones pregame?
Usually a little bit of Lil Wayne, some Kanye, and I'll throw a little bit of classic rock in there, mix it up.
What do you consider as a young person classic rock? I'm afraid to hear this.
Great question.
I think of Def Leppard, Led Zeppelin, all them. All
right.
Guns, they're like
Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Is that fair, Wayne? Is that fair?
Yes. That's what I grew up on.
Okay, and Coach Higgins, if you had one game, you could go in the locker room.
What about my playlist?
I know that we're getting there. If you could go put a big speaker in the locker room and play whatever you wanted for the guys, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to play Larry June. I'm going to play Van Halen. I'm going to play Garth Brooks. I'm going to play Lil Baby. I'm going to play, is that right? I'm going to play, I got one more here. I'm going to play, God, what is it? I can't think of it right now. Oh, Motley Crue. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So there you go. Hey, I tell people all the time I'm eclectic when it comes to music. Right?
That shows right there.
One extreme to the next.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
even throw some Ariana Grande on there too, maybe.
that's definitely the best.
Not in the locker room though, not before a game.
That's definitely the best list we've ever had on the show. Braden, you first. What's your favorite binge-worthy television Netflix type of show that you could just sit down and watch in one sitting?
Ooh. The most recent one was Stranger Things.
Nice.
I really liked Stranger Things.
Coach, how about you?
I'm gonna say Lost.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yep. Oh, and Breaking Bad.
That's a good
Another
one.
good one.
Yep.
Yellowstone. I like Yellowstone too. It's been good.
Halloween's right around the corner. What's the best candy ever? Coach, you first.
Laffy Taffy.
Nice.
Probably Sour Patch Kids right now.
That's a good one.
That might be my favorite Sour Patch Kids. Okay, last question, Braden, you first. What's the first thing you buy if you win the lottery?
Ooh, first thing I buy if I win the lottery.
Sour Patch Kids.
I don't even know. Probably anything. I mean, if I got that much money, I'll just probably be spending it.
Nice. Coach, how about you?
I'm gonna buy my wife a new house.
There you
And a brand new set of golf clubs.
There you go. Perfect for the off season.
Yes.
Coach, just because the other day I saw on the local news interview that you've been really up in your lingo game. What's your favorite hip word that the kids use?
Well, of course, like I said, I'm gonna just go with some of those that grip, drip. What was another one? I heard another one the other day. Had no idea what it meant. Yeah, I don't even want to say it because I'm scared I'll say it wrong or it might mean something that is I shouldn't say. So I'm just gonna go with those I know. Grip, drip, lit, swag is old, right? No, don't use that anymore. And then there's maybe a couple others. I'm just nervous because I don't really know what they mean. I've just heard them.
I love it. I'm the same way. Don't worry. Well, you made it through the hot seat, and thank you again so much for joining us. We're gonna let you go get some rest and get ready for the rest of that tough MIAA schedule. But good luck, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Remember, before we go, D2 Nation, we need your support. So give us a like, give us a follow. We're on Google Podcasts, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you want to listen to us and watch us. So, give us a follow, give us a like, and we'll see you next week on the D2 Nation.